When somebody says you're from California, you don't think just like small town in the wilderness.
Actually living in a small town in California, like nobody hunted. Social media changed a lot for me.
Tell us a little bit more about social media.
So when my social media first grew, I caught a 10-pound bass.
And you tend to like take on the haters. How do you handle that?
The haters on social media, I feel like I have a different perspective.
I haven't laughed that hard on a podcast in a little while.
And this was my first, like, you're out here by yourself. You better figure out how to make it work. Actually, once I got everything in my backpack got off balance and it rolled down the hill 75 yards, which put me in a pretty bad spot. I didn't know if I was going to make it out.
In today's episode, we are joined by the one and only Kayla Nevius, a Cali girl who is not from your traditional California. Instead of beaches and surfboards, we're talking about small town hunting and fishing. She's got nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram now, but she's never really let it get to her head. She really sticks true to her core in really inspiring people to be into the outdoors. You're going to love this one.
I missed the previous part of the conversation, but is that your actual background or is that like a photo that you input there?
Oh no, this is
Oh yeah. That's what we like to see. That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool.
Well, yeah, let's just dive right into this. Kayla, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. How about you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh man. My name's Kayla. I was born and raised in California, believe it or not. And I feel like when I tell people that, when I go to like conventions and stuff, no one believes that if they know me from social media or something. But born and raised, small town in California, basically just lived in like this tiny little town with a big lake surrounded by tons of mountains with public land, a river, and not that many people. So it was awesome. And I got to just dive into the outdoors from a very young age, kind of became obsessed with fishing and hunting even more, in high school. And then through college and after college, I moved back to my hometown and kind of just like really dove in head first. So yeah, I love to hunt and fish. I'm also a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. So my background's in mental health and psychology. So I actually have always worked kind of in like counseling fields, mental health background. And now I can work that into my personal training and nutrition coaching, which I've been doing for 3 years on my own now. So, yeah. And then recently I moved to Iowa. So I'm kind of switching gears now. In California, was focused on spot and stock, mostly archery, mule deer hunting. And here I'll be doing, mostly tree stand, whitetail hunting. And then there's so many more animals here that I'm going to have an opportunity to hunt. So I'm really excited about that. And then also for fishing in California, I mostly targeted largemouth bass with like big 8-inch, 9-inch swim baits. And now here, there is bass fishing also, but there's a lot of other types of fishing and they don't have quite the size of bass that I was targeting in California. So also going to be switching some gears in fishing, which I'm excited about.
Very cool. Yeah. When somebody says you're from California, you don't think just like small town in the wilderness sort of stuff.
Or
you think like,
or yeah,
or think like LA,
hunting in general. Yeah. So that's super cool.
So how many years ago did you move from California?
I just moved.
Okay.
Like just within the last few months moved.
So now all these new opportunities for you.
Yes. Lots of new stuff. I've basically been here since January. But I didn't have all my stuff here. So I finally just got all of the rest of my stuff here a few months ago. So I'm kind of excited to dive back into the hunting and fishing and kind of get more into it. I've been doing a lot more shooting and also in hunting. There hasn't really been any hunting seasons opened. Coyotes are always open, but without my stuff here, I've kind of just been like, what else can I do? And now that I have my stuff back here and hunting season, deer season's about to start next month. So I'm getting excited.
It's that time of year. And so for the people that are just listening to this on audio only platforms. So Kayla has a pretty glorious wall behind her. So if you have a chance, make sure to check this out on YouTube or Spotify video. This one's going to be a lot of fun.
It is not a wallpaper.
It is not
It
a
is
wallpaper.
a real background.
They are real.
Real
This would
cool.
be very, very expensive wallpaper.
Yeah.
Fun wallpaper.
It's just for the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it. So, talk to us a little bit about moving from California to Iowa. Like, what are you most excited about, or what are you most potentially going to miss?
Okay. So I would say in California, the hunting wasn't very good. So in California, I was hiking up these giant mountains, hiking back for miles with a heavy pack, and our season started mid-August for archery. So it was like over 100-degree days, hiking 10 miles to get a deer. And it was just like really hot, really hard work. And you really didn't see, most days you didn't really see anything that you could shoot, let alone something that was like worthy. So I worked really hard for the small amount of success that I had, which I'm grateful that I had those experiences because it taught me to work hard and, to enjoy my time being out there. But here, I know there's going to be a lot more opportunity for success. Obviously, size-wise, as far as like getting big quality animals, but also just seeing animals in general and having more opportunity, which is also going to help me succeed in the long run. Because in California, like you couldn't shoot does, you could get $2 a year, but again, you just didn't have a lot of opportunity. So I never felt like I had the opportunity to practice. It was kind of like, if you're lucky enough to get a shot during the season, you better make it count. And sometimes, especially archery hunting, like that one shot was your learning experience. And I think here, because there are more animals, there's going to be a lot more opportunity. And I think that my learning curve is going to be shortened because I'm going to be able to have a lot more opportunity in the field where I can not only improve as a hunter, but also be successful. So hunting side, that's what I'm excited about. It's kind of like, here's hunting and here's fishing. Fishing, I'm definitely going to miss targeting largemouth bass, giant ones, because I kind of got obsessed with that. And in California, there's like a handful of states that are known for having really big largemouth, but California, Texas, Florida, those are kind of known for like, a double digit, a 10-pound bass is something that is achievable. And so that's what I always targeted. And I kind of just got obsessed with throwing these giant baits, trying to catch these giant bass, and working really hard and having a little amount of success also for that to pay off. But I loved that challenge. So here it's just going to be a lot different. I think that, one, I'm still always going to bass fish. So that's not something that I'm going to lose. But even growing up, like I hunted for everything, I fished for everything, and I just enjoy being outdoors. I enjoy being in nature, and every once in a while, something just pulls me towards one direction. I become super obsessed with it. So I think the same thing is going to happen here once I start really diving in and fishing for species that I never had a chance to fish in California, and just kind of figure out how things are here. And I know that I'm going to be just as obsessed with something else here too. So I'm not worried about that part, but I've had so many experiences in my life already that I feel like a lot of people haven't had, even people who are much older than me, that I'm really grateful for all of those adventures that I've had and all of those experiences. So I don't think that I'm going to necessarily like miss anything or feel like I'm missing out on anything, because I've had some really awesome, memories. I'm just looking forward to kind of a change of pace and figuring out what else I can explore and what else I can, do here.
Mm-hmm. Change of pace is a great way to put it. Because when you're out spot and stock mule deer hunting, you're moving, you're going from ridge to ridge. When you're targeting big whitetails in Iowa, you're going to be doing a lot of sitting in the same spot.
The exact
opposite.
And, pretty much polar opposites. But it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And for not seeing game, I think another big change is learning how to like pass on really nice animals. Cause
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
oh man, you'll be seeing some like 140s, 150s down in Iowa. And it's like, well, there's 200-inch deer hanging around. So
Hey, my first year, if I can get a 140 with my bow, I will be so happy.
Oh, you know, well, and let me say, a 140 with a bow is great for anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like even just
Yeah.
an animal with a bow is
Yeah.
something to be very proud of.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what this year I'm not putting any pressure on myself as far as like size for anything. I mean, season starts next month and I'm just now finishing getting dialed in as far as my equipment, and I haven't even gone out and set trail cams or anything yet. Also, switching gears, I'm like having to switch my equipment, you know, spot and stop mule deer hunting. I had my big backpack, my spotting scope, like all that type of stuff. And now I'm like, I need tree stands or like a saddle or something I can move around with. I have whitetail hunted one other time or two other times. I was successful one of the times. And one of the biggest mule deer actually that I ever found that I was targeting, I hunted for a couple of years, and that was more whitetail style based on the area that he was in. So I actually hunted him out of tree stands, and I got a shot at him closing weekend, got a shot at him with my bow in a little ground blind that I made, and I actually hit him in the shoulder and he lived. So that's the biggest deer I've ever shot. If I'm going to tell a story that my dad wouldn't tell, yeah, it's the biggest deer I ever shot. But yeah, I didn't
That's a good
actually
way to
get
put
him.
it. I like that.
Yeah. We've,
But yeah, I'm excited for the change of pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been there. Them shoulders are tough.
Yeah.
They really are.
The switch between spot and stock mule deer hunting, like you said, the new gear, that just gives you an excuse to buy a lot of new stuff and have a lot of new toys to tinker with now.
100%. I'm like, I need to go buy some stuff and like set them up on the tree in the backyard. And I need to like, that's what, like, I've done something for so long, and I'm never going to say that I've perfected anything, but I work really hard at what I do. And I haven't had a lot of people to teach me what I've done. So like fishing and hunting, I've kind of gotten better for the most part, just from being out there and putting time on the water and putting time in the mountains and doing my own research, you know, free resources online, you know, following people who are successful on social media in the area that I'm wanting to be successful in, asking questions. But especially living in a small town in California, like nobody hunted. My dad hunted, and he kind of taught me the basics of things, but he didn't teach me more than that. And he didn't really know more than that. So it kind of got to the point where once I saw, honestly, social media changed a lot for me. Once I saw like on Instagram, like people getting bigger deer, people catching bigger fish, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like that's out there. I want to learn, you know, I want to really learn about animal behavior and how I can be as successful as these people. So it was kind of like a motivator for me. So yeah, this is just switching gears. I'm excited to kind of do the same thing on this end of things, and just kind of learn a new style of hunting, a new style of fishing, and I'm all for it.
I like what you said earlier about like jumping in with both feet, kind of like to a new experience, right? Like bass fishing. Well, first of all, not the world's best fisherman, but the thought of throwing a big swim bait for bass, that makes me want to do that
It's
right
pretty
now.
fun.
Yeah. But diving
It's
in
so
head
much fun.
Yeah. Diving in head first to things like the way I relate that to the hunting industry is like everybody that I've ever seen get into archery has like dove in head first. Like I feel like archery is one of those things where it's like you start and then it's just like the biggest black hole that sucks you in instantly.
It quickly becomes an obsession.
Yeah. So that's why we need Ashley to get a bow so you can get sucked into the black
Yes.
hole
Come
and
on.
shoot archery.
You know what's funny? So I randomly got a bow, and it was like right before archery season started. And again, taught myself how to shoot it, how to sight it in, like everything. And I hunted every single day that season. And I actually got my first deer with a bow closing day of archery season.
Nice.
Hunted
Very
every
cool.
single day of the season, which was, I think, a month long. Hunted every single
Holy
day.
cow.
And it was the smallest deer I've ever killed. And it's still one of my favorite hunts to date. because I spotted it, I stalked it, I made a perfect shot. It was my first archery kill. I actually have I kind of self-filmed it on a GoPro, and I have that video on YouTube. And it's really fun to look back on after I shot it. I was like, I can never kill a deer with a rifle ever again.
Wow.
I'm archery only. It was awesome. And I actually didn't get a rifle tag, and I didn't rifle hunt for, I think, 6 years or 7 years after that. I was just head first, all in, like I'm archery hunting, and I ate a lot of tags.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dang,
So-
that's serious commitment there. You know, I like to shoot like basically every animal besides a turkey. I would like to shoot with my bow and arrow over a rifle, but I'll hunt hard for like 2 or 3 months. And then all of a sudden Minnesota rifle comes and I'm like, I'm ready
Get
to
the bow
switch to
outta
the
here.
boomstick for a little bit. I need a little equalizer here.
Yeah, understandable. I kind of started doing that too. It's like, okay, I'll get one archery tag, one rifle tag. And then I was also archery hunting out of state. And then here I got an archery tag and I got a rifle tag. So I'll have a good little mix. And again, it's my first season being here and it's completely different. So I'm
It's enough
like,
to
we'll
get your
see
feet
what's
wet.
going to happen. But yeah, either way, it's going to be fun. I really enjoy being outdoors here. Maybe because it is so different. I loved where I grew up. Like, I loved being in the mountains. I was super appreciative. It was a beautiful place, but it was very dead and dry. So like everything is brown. There's dead weeds everywhere. And so being here and just having green everywhere, I just love it. Like, I don't know. There's just something different about being out here.
Mhm.
And I've always felt like that. I remember the first time I came out to the Midwest, I went whitetail hunting in Missouri, and I was like, oh my gosh, everything is green. People have their own ponds and they have so much land. And I'm like, I love it here.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. You know, people call the Midwest flyover states, but once you hang out a while, it's, you know, you tend to not leave.
I feel like you're a
I really like
Midwest girl at heart. Yeah.
That's what my best friend lives in Arkansas, and we actually met through the internet, through both of us having a common story of missing a deer. Well, my big buck that I already talked about, she had a similar story, and I messaged her and I was like, hey, here's my story. Like, it happens, you know, keep your head up. Never knew each other. And we like became best friends since then, like 4 years ago. But she's from Arkansas. That's what she said the whole time. She's like, you are a Midwest girl. Somehow you were raised in California, but you are like meant to be here. So now I'm here.
Well, welcome home.
Yeah, it's just
Thank you.
fate.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about social media. I think that's really interesting, of like the community that you've created with like-minded women. You're a great resource. I'm like, okay, that's who I need to go follow, because Kayla's going to tell me all the tips.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you guys know, Christmas is coming. So if you have any gift ideas for me,
A bow. We'll save up.
Social media is really interesting because when my social media first started growing, it made me feel super uncomfortable. Like, again, small town girl, kept to myself. I didn't have a lot of, I don't want to say I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, but I didn't have any friends that hunted or fished. There was like one other guy who hunted that was, you know, in high school with me. But we didn't really talk a lot. Our dads hunted together. And besides that, like, I just didn't really even talk about hunting or fishing growing up. It was kind of like, hey, come to this party. And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm going to go fish in the morning. Like, that was the extent of it. But I was kind of like the outcast in that way. So, and it kind of stayed like that, like through high school, through college. After college, I moved back to my hometown because I just missed being so close to like the lake and the mountains and being able to hunt and fish whenever I wanted. So when my social media first grew, I caught a 10-pound bass. I posted it on social media. That was almost 10 years ago now. So it was when growing was a lot easier. So even though my Instagram was like super, super small, I think I had maybe 100 people on there. It was just like family and close friends. Some fishing page saw it, they shared it, a bunch of them shared it. And my Instagram grew from like 200 followers to like 15,000 followers, like in a week. And
yeah.
I was like, at the time I was like, I don't like this. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I should just delete this, make everything private, like whatever. I was like, I don't know what this is. And I was like, you know what? I didn't ask for this to happen. It just happened. Maybe it's happening for a reason. At the time I was like, maybe I'll just give it a chance. I can always like jump off, jump off whenever I want. But I was like, maybe an opportunity will present itself. And the one rule I said was I just need to like stay true to myself and not let it change who I am. And I feel like I've been able to do that. But throughout my social media growing, it's kind of like anytime something big like that has happened, which it's not every day you catch a 10-pound bass. I've only caught 2 of those, so it's kind of hard over here. But, any big moments, catching a big bass, getting a nice deer, something like that, social media grows a little bit more. And throughout this whole time, it's like, yes, stay true to myself, but also I want to inspire other people to also just like enjoy their lives. I feel like life can be so short, and there's so much to just like admire when you're in the outdoors that a lot of people never even get to experience. And people who have experienced it, sometimes I feel like it gets lost when you're going through the everyday, the everyday cycle of especially like kids and work and just like not finding time to enjoy the outdoors. And so I just want to inspire people to get out and do the things that they love, see the sunrise, see the sunset, enjoy nature that's out there. And then also be one of the resources that I looked at when I was learning. So I kind of try to think about like, what did I want to learn, or what do I do now that no one taught me that I wish would have been a resource for me to see? So I kind of try to put a little mix of, one, I post whatever I want. That's just kind of like, bottom line, I post whatever I want. But 2, hoping to inspire people, and also hoping to kind of educate people or let people learn something that they may not have known that will help them succeed in what they're doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I like best about your page is it's inspirational, but it's real at the same time. Mm-hmm. And you tend to like take on the haters. How do you handle that exactly?
Yeah, like I saw makeup and hunting,
Yeah, it's so funny because especially growing up, I was not a girly girl at all. I was a tomboy. I wore my brother's clothes until I was a sophomore in high school. I was like, don't look at me. Let me play my sports. Let me hunt and fish. And now I just think it's so funny because the haters on social media, I feel like I have a different perspective probably because of my background in mental health. And I got bullied a lot growing up. I just feel like I've never cared what other people think. Like, I don't care what you guys think. I'm over here living my best life. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm happy. And as I got older, I kind of realized, especially with my background in mental health, like people who are going to hate on you on the internet, they're just not happy with themselves, or they're not happy in their own lives. So I'm not going to let them bring me down to their level. If anything, I just feel bad for the most part. Like anytime I get a comment like that, I'm like, man, that sucks. Like their life isn't great. And that's a bummer. And I hope it gets better. But the hunting and social media, or like hunting and makeup, is like, it's just funny because it doesn't affect you. If I see a girl even who's like full blown curling their hair before going in the deer stand, like in my head, I'm like, wait, doesn't that, like, your hair's going to smell now? And then the deer are going to, who cares? Like, let her do what she's going to do. And I know plenty of girls who wear a full beat face of makeup with their hair curled, and they're still successful. So like, you do your thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I feel like, especially as a woman on social media in a male dominated industries, hunting, fishing, outdoors in general, the hate that I get online is 99.9% of the time from men who also hunt and fish. So again, it's like, what is the source of this? Like, where is this coming from? If you want me to teach you something, I will. Like, I'll help you get better if you want to. Like, I'm not perfect. That's the other thing too, is I'm not ever trying to act like I know what I'm doing. I try really hard. I am a very hard trier. And I put a lot of time into what I do, and to have like I said earlier, the small amount of success that I've had. But I'm never here to act like I'm any better than anybody else. And especially being a female, in these industries, there's a lot of negativity from men because, you know, what you're doing isn't anything more than what a man's doing, but you only have a following because you're a woman. And in one, like, I 100% agree with that in one shape or form. Like, I know that part of the reason why I have the following I have, part of the reason why my videos of me catching a big bass do so well is because there aren't very many women who are doing that. So when you see something that you don't see a lot, people are attracted to it. People are gravitated towards it, especially the men in those industries. They want to see more women do it. And then at the same time, other women want to see other women do it too. So it's kind of like, yes, women in these industries do get more eyes on them because they stand out. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing as long as they're actually trying to be good at what they're doing. There's a big difference in women in these industries who are actually good at what they're doing and trying to be an asset and trying to improve their ability, trying to help other people improve their abilities, versus women in these industries who are just trying to get attention for wearing the clothes, walking the walk.
That was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
that was very well said. Yeah.
It's getting easier and easier to spot the ones looking for Insta fame versus the ones that are actually interested in growing the sport.
I think a lot of that's just like you said, you're posting what you want. It's not like you have like boom, boom, boom. I need to post this, this, and the other thing. Like you can post whatever you want. It's not like there's nobody telling you what to do.
You have a lot of passions.
Even with, you know, like obviously as social media grows, you get partnership opportunities, you get sponsorship opportunities. And when that first started, it was a lot of like smaller companies. And I was kind of like, you know, unless it's a company that I've already like used their product, loved you, you know, then I'm not just going to just say, yeah, let me promote your product. My very first sponsor ever, actually, I'm wearing a Realtree shirt, was SCHEELS Outdoors. I've been with them for about almost 10 years now. And they were like my favorite company in the world. And so for them to reach out to me, I was like, wait, what? But that was kind of like what they said too, is like, we can see from all of your stuff. And obviously my page was a lot smaller back then, but they're like, you know, you do what you say you do. You're the real deal. And I've kind of tried to follow that throughout any partnerships that I've taken on. You know, so many people reach out and they're like, hey, promote my product. And I'm like, I've never used your product. I'm like, you want me to try it first? And then maybe we can talk about it after that. But I'm not just going to agree to do something. I don't care what you're going to pay me. If it's a crappy product or I don't believe in it and I don't actually use it and I'm not going to use it, then I'm not going to talk about it. I'd rather, you know, keep my page posting whenever I want to post. And luckily, with doing that, I've been able to keep my content. I've been able to post what I want to post while still representing some really awesome companies without having to change anything. So I'm all for that. I love it.
Mm-hmm. That's super refreshing when you can just like talk about a company that you truly believe in. It's like, I've used their product. I trust it. And I'm glad you talked about companies first, so I didn't have to figure out a way to just like bring it up. So I'm going to have a huge shout out to DSG for this podcast. And I've got kind of an interesting story how it kind of came to be, because we had a meeting with DSG and some of the people in our marketing office, like great conversation talking about ways to grow the brand, grow the partnership between us. And I was like, well, we're trying to grow our podcast. So maybe somebody from, you know, like your crew would be willing to, you know, step up and be a guest with us. And then one of the gals who had a glorious wall of mounts behind her in this cabin in the wilderness. Like I stared at that more than like I paid attention during the meeting, in brutal honesty. But anyways, like, she's like, yeah, I'll reach out to a few people, and like, okay, sounds great. And then that night I'm like scrolling Instagram and I run across Kayla's profile and she's singing some country tune talking about doves. And if you know, like, give a recipe if you know. And I'm like, oh yeah, do jalapeno poppers, bacon wrapped, and then throw the doves in there. And you responded to me. And like literally that next morning, the gal from DSG is like, oh, you should interview Kayla. And I was like, this is just like fate at this point. So I'm very glad you accepted. And that's my quick story.
Of course. Well, my quick similar story, the woman that you had spoke with, I actually met her through Realtree 9 years ago. And when DSG first started, as far as like hunting, she was like, hey, I think that you will love this company. It's, women made. We really need some like women's input on products. And like, I know you're going to be yourself. You're going to be honest. And, I think you should give it a chance. And so I started, working with DSG years ago. And it's kind of funny, like while we're kind of on the topic of like who and social media and stuff, it's so amazing how growing up in a small town as a female doing these things, not having any friends who did it, like now social media has allowed me to connect with so many people, my best friend, even other women in the industry, who like to do the things that I like to do. And now some of them are my closest friends. But it's just, that is probably my favorite part about social media, is just the fact that now I have other people that I can talk to who like really are passionate about the hunting and fishing and fitness and just everything in between. And we can all learn from each other. And it seems like for the most part, especially as a woman, a lot of us are very similar. Small town girls didn't have a lot of people to talk to about it. We have our dads or our brothers or whatever. And it's like now we kind of have these groups of girls that we can go on hunting trips with or fishing trips, and we can share our stories throughout the season. And that part's really, really awesome. But back to how this started, she had called me and we were needing to catch up anyways and talk about stuff. But she'd mentioned something about SCHEELS, and I was like, I finally live next to a SCHEELS. I was like, and I'm in SCHEELS like every single week. I go to SCHEELS like at least once a week because ammo. So I'm in SCHEELS a lot. So I was like, of course I'll do a podcast. That sounds great.
Awesome.
Oh, that's super funny. I haven't laughed that hard on a podcast in a little while because ammo.
Ammo.
Clearly.
Oh,
and all your new gear for whitetail stuff too.
Yep.
I haven't really dove into that yet. I need to do some research first before I just go spend everything, because it is so different. And especially being here and being new to not only this style of hunting, but this is a whole new area. Back home, I lived in the same town for 32 years of my life. So besides a couple years for college, but I was back like every weekend so I can hunt and fish. So that doesn't really count. So I had spots, like I had certain mountains that I would go hit. I had spots on the lake I would go hit. I had learned where good spots were. I still explored a little bit, but now this is like a clean slate. I've looked at the maps. I've studied the maps. I've marked some areas, but I need to boots on the ground, see what I'm working with before I can even go and buy. I'm like, I don't know. Will I even be able to put a tree stand in this area? Do I need to get some ground lines? So first step is going in and exploring a little bit. And then next step is definitely spending some money.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you can still use those spotting scopes. Observation from a ways is very beneficial when it comes to that whitetail stuff. And I'll have to say, if you haven't looked into saddles yet, that's a great way to do it, especially if you're kind of starting from scratch, because you can be so mobile with those. You aren't restricted to a certain spot. You can put them in observation points so you can look and you can fine tune your strategy and make a move from there. If you're doing public, the food plot game is so fun. It turns into literally chess when hunting. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the saddle route because I'm assuming I'm going to be moving around a lot and trying different areas. And I feel like, especially public land, I don't want to have to go in and set stands. I don't know how people are here. I know in California, trail cams would get stolen, and I just don't want to have to deal with that. And I also don't want to sit in an area for multiple days where I know it's kind of not the best. So I've been looking at saddles. I have a couple different companies in mind. And so I think that no matter what, I'm going to end up with a saddle. But yeah, I think that'll be a good a good one.
I'll just tell you, I'm the world's biggest gearhead when it comes to hunting equipment. So I've probably tried it. So if you have questions, I would love to help because that's my favorite thing to talk about ever is just gear for hunting. I don't know. I've spent way too much money on gear.
You need to send me all your recommendations for whitetail that I'm going to need because I'm like, all right, what do I need? I have trail cams. That's like basically all I have.
There you go.
Other than that, I have trail cams. I have, my bow, I have guns, and I have all my DSG Realtree camo.
Mm-hmm.
So covered on all those bases. But
Almost
as far as other whitetail stuff,
well, since you're already stopping into a SCHEELS to get your ammo, head over to the hunting section, chat with any of our people there, and they will not stop talking about deer hunting and strategy, and they will help you with any question that you have.
I believe promise. It. See, normally in SCHEELS too, I'm just like staring at all the mounts and I'm like, I want one of those.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of going back to DSG, what are some of your favorite pieces in that lineup? Or what is, if you could only buy like one set of stuff, what would it be?
So that's really difficult because in California, when I was hunting, I needed like really lightweight gear that was really breathable. I needed stuff that was packable and something that I could layer because a lot of times I'm hiking up these mountains. So I need to be able to take on and off layers, but I also need it to be really light. Something that I love about DSG is that they listen to what we say. So at the time, a few years ago, I was like, hey, I love all the products that we have, but I really need these specific products for what I'm doing. And other girls probably do too. I told them what I needed, and they made those products. So anytime there's a product idea that we have, they take it into consideration. They listen to what we say. If we have like similar products that we're like, hey, we like this, but we would make these changes and I think we need it, they listen to that. If we have any feedback from the products, they listen to that and they'll make it, new for the next year. So it's really hard to pick apart one favorite product or even a few, because for the most part in California, I was wearing a lot of the more lightweight gear. But I have worn all their warmest gear too. Here, I'm going to be wearing a lot more of their warmer gear, but that's something else that I just love about DSG is that they do make such a wide variety of options. Like they really do have you covered no matter where you are, no matter what style of hunting you are. The selection now is huge and it's great quality. So I really can't pick a favorite. They're all super comfortable, especially like the warmer weather the colder weather gear to keep you warm is all like so comfortable and just like soft and cozy. I like all of it.
Yeah, definite bonus points for soft and coziness. I've got
100%.
My favorite piece of gear is my neck gaiter because it feels like I'm putting on a pillow. So I get that.
Yeah. The their neck gaiter is like, it's so soft. It's just like a teddy bear. It's super comfy.
Well, it's made by women for women. So they get what we need to wear.
Made by women for women. And I think what the issue that I've had with a lot of companies in the past is even if a woman was the owner, they still wouldn't listen to feedback. And DSG is really good at listening to feedback. Like all of the ambassadors, we have a form where we can submit like, hey, this piece, we want to change this. This piece, we want to change this. And they actually listen to what we say. And it's amazing, especially since I've been with them for so long. I've been able to see how much it's grown, how much their products have improved, and how much they have listened to us, especially coming from me, where I was like the outsider, like, hey, I get that you guys on the West Coast don't get this, but we over here, we need these products. And they still listened and they made them. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. So, all right. Well, I would like to hear your favorite hunting story. You got one?
Oh, man. My favorite hunting story. Besides my baby little mule deer that I shot with my bow, that's probably my favorite hunting story. Honestly, it was It was incredible because I taught myself how to shoot a bow. I hunted every single day. I actually got up on this giant boulder to cut it off. And so it was kind of like shooting from a tree stand. I was on top of this giant boulder that I'd glassed off of before, and I shot at 35 yards. I watched it go down in like 5 or 6 seconds. I called my dad right after, and I waited for him, and he actually hiked up the mountain and met me, and then we walked over to it together. So that was a pretty awesome moment. I would say that's definitely one of my top hunting moments.
I've got one more question for you too, related to the move to Iowa. So I lived in Rapid City, South Dakota before, which is like just cresting Western-ish states. So like I got a little taste of the mountains, a little bit of the hills, and I loved it. So like if you had to pick one, I know you've only been here for like 8 or 9 months, but would you pick mountains or like the plains areas? Because I'm sure you'll miss a little bit of the mountains.
That's also kind of hard. Like I said, here I like being able to just see green, and I like being able to just see, like, it's nice. But obviously I love the mountains. The mountains will always have a special place in my heart. And then I've also hunted like Idaho. I've been to Colorado. I've hunted Arizona. I've hunted like a lot of different areas too. So I've seen a lot of different terrain, and I really appreciate all of it. I think that I will always have a huge appreciation for the mountains, but I really am liking being here, even though it is flat, it's green and it's pretty. So I like it here too. And I don't think that I'm really going to miss the hiking. I actually have a lot of injuries. Like I was in a car accident, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And so I have just permanent damage to my back, my neck, my shoulder. So I'm like daily dealing with pain in those areas. And especially with like deer season, and hiking those mountains has always been more of a struggle because of those injuries. So it was kind of like really like, hiking 10 or 15, 20 miles a day, but also like just being in pain the whole time. So again, I'm actually excited for the change of pace. Sitting in a tree stand sounds fantastic right now.
It's a little more relaxing, a little less effort.
She's a Midwest girl, remember? At heart.
Yeah.
So don't mix her up. Don't confuse her.
I think I grew up around this area, which is obviously I appreciate it a ton. I love the area. That's why I'm still here. But like having a little taste of the mountains, it's like, all right, there's going to need to be some trips out that way.
Yeah.
I will say, I think that something that kind of is helping the transition, and then also back to like favorite hunting moment. Last year, so last fall during hunting season, I did my first successful, completely solo hunt. And that was brutal, having to pack a buck out of the mountains by myself. That was definitely one of my other top hunting moments though, because other hunts I'd like gone in by myself, I'd got the animal, but then I'd been able to like call my dad, and he could come and help me cut it up, or help me pack it out, or help me drag it out. And this was my very first, and then I had other hunts where someone else was there, where they could like take a portion of the deer, or they would take, at least I would take the deer, but they would take all my other gear or something. And this was my first, like, you're out here by yourself, you better figure out how to make it work. And that was incredible, because I'd gone to the spot another couple times, and I really wasn't seeing what I wanted to see. So I knew I needed to wake up earlier. I needed to get in there earlier, and I needed to get back farther and higher than I had before. So I was literally like hiking. I was like cranky that morning. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is going to suck. It's going to be so brutal, but I'm like, I know I need to do it. And I'm like hiking up this steep mountain that was so steep, where like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in the mountains where like you take one step up, but then you immediately fall down a half a step. So the whole time I'm like hiking up the mountain like that. I'm like, this sucks. This really sucks. I hope I see something. And, I ended up, 3 or 4 miles back, and I crested over this ridge, and I saw a deer. I glassed it with my binos, and it was like kind of a small one. I was like, you know what? Like, that's not what I'm here for. And I had my rifle. So I was like, it's okay, but that's not what I came back here for. And then I looked over and I saw a bigger deer, and I was like, that's what I came out here for. And so I put my spotter on it immediately. Once I saw him in my spotter, I just like confirmed. I'm like, yeah, that's one that I'm going to want to take. I set my backpack up vertically, and well, first I tried to lay down prone, put my gun on my backpack, and I was too short. So I had to like creep up to the edge, like all the way to the edge of the ridge. And I actually had to sit with my backpack like up and down with my gun laying on the pack. And then I just kind of used my arm as support. I put my arm on my knee for support as my backrest. And the deer was like working away from me, and he was just about to crest over the next ridge. And I shot him and he went down. And that was incredible. Again, like being out there by yourself. I also had a lot of like things happen that previous year, like emotional things. So that was like waterworks let out, which I'm not usually emotional when, you know, I have a successful hunt. But that was one of those things, like finally putting my hands on the deer and having to move it by myself on a steep mountain, having to debone it by myself. It was kind of like, wow, this is like not only like a huge success, it was my biggest deer that I ever killed with a general tag in that area, living there my whole entire life. It was by myself. It was the first year that, like, you know, I couldn't call my dad to have him come. Normally I call my grandma, and I have a video of this on Instagram where I'm crying too. And that was another one of those videos where I'm like, do I actually post this? And I'm like, who cares? Like, I don't care what people think. But, you know, normally call my dad, he comes, and not able to do that. And always call my grandma. And the first thing I do is take it, you know, to her house after getting the tag signed, and can't do that anymore either. So it was really just like sit in your thoughts while deboning a deer on the mountain by yourself, and then packing it out was
so much fun.
Brutal.
Yeah.
It was hot. It was hot. So I knew I needed to be quick, and already deboning it by myself takes a little bit longer than when you have someone helping you. And so my whole thought process the whole time was like, you just have to do it. Like, you're not going to waste this meat. You're not going to waste any of this meat. You're not going to leave anything back. You're doing all of it. If you leave any meat here, it's going to spoil. So you need to get it all off the mountain. So I deboned it all, put it in my bags, put them in my backpack. And I was like, all right, let's do it. And actually, once I got everything in my backpack got off balance, and it rolled down the hill, rolled down the mountain like a good 75 yards, which put me in a pretty bad spot. But yeah, the pack out was brutal. I didn't know if I was going to make it out, but I did. I made it out, and that was very painful. And I think a good way to end my California season and make this transition.
Wow.
It's like, all right, I'm ready for something a little bit simpler now, maybe a little less elevation change, but man, that's gotta be just an incredible sense of accomplishment, going in wondering like, okay, this is my first completely myself solo hunt, and to have success and be able to just do it, that sense of accomplishment and fulfillment has got to be pretty awesome.
I think something that added to that sense of fulfillment and accomplishment was that I'd gone out more days than I could count. Like, I hunted solo most of the time. I archery hunted solo for deer, for bear. I bear hunted and deer hunted solo all the time. But the times that I was successful was usually when I either had someone with me, or when I was able to call someone at least to help me pack out. So there were so many days too where I even like would start filming like from the morning, like, you know, day one, I'm going out. And there were so many days in California, just like with the low success rate, like that hunt, I think was a 6% success rate unit. So only 6% of the people who hunt for the whole month and a half, the 2,000 some tags, only 6% of those people even fill a tag. And then out of those, I don't remember the exact data, but I think out of those, only like 10 people kill a deer of the caliber that I killed. So I knew that when I got the animal, and it kind of was like all of those days where I went out and I put in, you know, years of hard work going out by myself and waiting for this moment, and waiting for a deer that was this big, and to do it by myself. It was incredible.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, Kayla, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for inspiring people. Thank you for being a part of the DSG team. So we had a chance to talk to you. Just love it. Appreciate all of that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great time. And like I said, I'm in SCHEELS every week. So I'll be sure to stop in and ask them for some of their suggestions on equipment, because I'm definitely going to need some stuff for this upcoming season.
Perfect. Love it. Well, yeah, make sure to head to SCHEELS for any of those needs, like your ammo or any of your deer hunting stuff. Thank you everybody for watching or listening to this episode, and see you next time.